You gotta be kidding me, guys. I just did the whole showcase while being muted. Well, well, well. Good job, Ronaldo. You did it here. Well, welcome again, guys. Ronaldo here, and welcome to this Selene showcase. What I've tested so far, what I think of her. Let's get right into her skills. Awakenings build. Then we're gonna test her in arena, single target arena, as I believe she's very, very strong there for many players. And who doesn't like someone to be strong in arena now that arena actually matters? And then also we're gonna see how she performs in Guild Boss. So let's get right into it. Her kit, what do we need to know? She basically has the talent, Throbbing Wound, inflicts a mark on the enemy every time the hero deals damage to them. When the enemy has 4 stacks of the marks, deals 100% damage 2 times to the enemy. Okay, so every 4 stacks, she deals a good bonus hit. Normal damage, she's a magic damage dealer, that's the most important to know. She deals just 2 tile range, normal damage output. Basic attack has a 20% chance to trigger an empowered effect and inflicting 1 stack on enemies around the target as well. And then basic attack has a 20% chance to apply 2 stacks of the mark. When Throbbing Wound is triggered, the mark deals damage to enemies bearing the mark regardless of the distance, and the damage dealt scales with the number of mark stacks. So the mark itself deals damage as well. And then we have her ultimate, 300 cost. Her bread and butter is her ultimate. While these are all nice, this is her bread and butter. 300 cost only, 6 charges onto an enemy, 4 of them dealing 120% and 2 of them dealing 160% damage with the 300 cost. So very low ult cost, and the other bread and butter is going to be her bond skill. So for every poor soul out there that has gotten a Giselle just like I did, we can actually get some use of Giselle. Not really, but we get use of Giselle having our bond skill unlocked for our Selene, because Selene is actually useful, because Selene profits a lot from that bond skill, and it's a very, very strong bond skill, and that is basically, whenever her ultimate is triggered, she applies 30%, which is the highest percentage of vulnerability we have so far, magic damage vulnerability to the enemy for 10 seconds. Now the fact that her ultimate is 300 cost will make it that they will be on a 30% vulnerability uptime, 100%. So 30% more magic damage, 100%. You can see already where this is going. All the magic damage dealers are gonna be happy for that. Praetus, Ingrid, Alistair, Hex and so forth. They're gonna be rinsing enemies thanks to that. Now her awakening, because I also had some comments on the last video, questions regarding the awakening. So this A1, just from 20 to 30% higher chance to trigger the passive, which is nice. It's a good increase. Crit damage is nice. Then this one is what people were asking. When killing an enemy, gains an effect of ignoring 30% of enemy's magic resistance for 10 seconds. Does that stack with her bond skill from Giselle? Yes, it does. Magic resist ignore is a different kind of ignore as vulnerability. Vulnerability, you have to imagine, is you're fighting against a weakened enemy that is poisoned, and the poisoned makes them take 30% more damage. Whereas the magic resist ignore is basically you have a sharpened blade that ignores the enemy's defense and pierces through their defense, ignoring 30% of their defense. So yes, the 30% ignore of her magic resist and the 30% vulnerability from her bond skill, they do stack on top of each other. Then Rage Regen is nice, and then we have her A5, which sounds very, very strong as well, and that is every one time the ultimate is cast, the next ultimate deals an extra 150% damage 3 times. Now you're gonna see in arena how strong her ultimate works there in single target arena, and I imagine that being a kind of that's turning her ultimate in more or less into a Salazar ultimate with a 300 cost, because this is 450% more damage on a 300 cost ultimate. But it's A5, let's be honest here. Let's not delude ourselves. Neither I nor 90% of you guys are gonna get her A5, right? But it is interesting to know. it is interesting to note. Now, of course, she has been reworked. This is also something I heard from the comments on the last video. I said she got a rework, but I thought it was a while ago. I'm not sure when it was, but it was actually recently. So she's not actually useless like she was 1 year ago, and this is why I make this video, because she's very, very solid from my testing. And now that we know her skills and everything, we can go over the gear that I'm gonna be using. I have attack, and attack here on her. Yeah, basic attack, basic DPS gear. I just put on some basic DPS gear, some attack, some crit damage, and some attack speed. It's just a normal DPS build. And let's get into the artifact as well, as she has an amazing artifact as well going for her. And that is reducing the stacks that you need for her talent from 4 to 3. And on top of that, whenever her ult is triggered, is my voice recording? Yes, I'm paranoid, guys. Whenever her ult is triggered, deals an extra 20% damage for 15 seconds. Her ult will be on about 10-second cooldown, so therefore she will have a constant 20% damage increase from her artifact, which is nice to have. And then of course the talent increase as well. So you could use her with that, but you could also use a Wailing Skull as well. Which is a very strong item as well. But let's get right into the arena, because this is where she surprised me a lot. And then we're gonna go into her use case in Guild Boss and Guild Boss 2, where she's gonna be very solid as well. And I will most likely use her in my Guild Boss 2 team as well. So let's end in my arena team for sure. So for my arena team, I can showcase you guys what I've cooked up here for you guys. And that is, we want to make use of her magic damage vulnerability, right? We really want to make use of her magic damage vulnerability. So we're going to use a magic damage dealer. We could, and this is kind of, this is kind of our core. And then I was thinking, well, just put in anyone really, at least some epic unit on top of that, all of these. And so we're just going to put in a holo. We could also put in a Kikiri in here, in a Salazar, a Eloin and everything. So let's get right into that fight here and see how she is going to perform very, very well for that single target arena. So we're going to start off the way we always start off, and that is by placing down our Cyrene right here, right now. And then we're going to follow it up by Selene. Selene and Cyrene, super duper, super combo. And they're going to take care of the first wave here. There we go. And now we will just have to wait for our Cyrene ult to come back up to place our Ingrid. To finally, you know, establish our team. And then we take care of this. And now we can really see the power really that is unlocked. So she ults, makes them vulnerable, and boom, he's immediately gone. And as you can see, her ultimate is charging up so fast, it's already almost back up. So if you have an, let's say if you have an Elo in here, her ult is, and one-shots that guy by the way when he comes out. Her ult is basically up on every enemy that comes out, if you have an Elo in this. Now we took a holo here for more accessibility. As you can see here, we one-tap the enemy. And again, her ult comes out, one-shots him again. And if it wouldn't one-shot him, right, it applies the 30% vulnerability for the likes of your Ingrid to deal even more damage. And yeah, one-shots this guy, thanks to the constants, gets the rage going, right, slaps this guy out as well. And now we get to the bit more tanky dudes. Let's see how they work here. They work very well together here again, as you will be able to see. Gives the vulnerability and the guy is gone. And yeah, they just work very well, and you will be able to see in the damage check. There we go. In the damage check how well actually that Selene is performing here, and how well she is able to enable that, you know. So here these guys are tanky, right? No constant ult. She does basically half-life on him. And now everyone deals empowered damage to him, gets the job done. Right? And you can really improve that team as well. You can put in a Salazar instead of a holo. You can put in a Elo in instead of a holo. Or even a Kigiri. instead of the holo, right? And there we go, her ult comes out, the enemy is gone. It's just that simple, really. Can pop this. Ult comes out and he's gone. And then we can just wait. And this guy should be gone as well. There we go. Next one. Comes out, is gone immediately. And this works very well with the timings of the Ingrid especially as well. If you're an Ingrid enjoyer like I am. And look at the damage. Look at that damage. She provides magic damage vulnerability for the Ingrid. She does a lot of damage for her as well. And on top of that, that Ingrid was A3, whereas that Selene was A0. A0 Selene right there, guys. Masterclass. And let's get right into the Guild Boss 2 Semrah, shall we? Showcase you her strengths there as well. So I'm gonna showcase you how you should not use her first, and then I'm gonna showcase you how you should use her second. So, because if you look at the Semrah, she's not gonna profit that much from her ultimate as she was in single target, whereas single target arena she was like profiting a lot, right? So if you put her in Semrah, and we're just putting down all these heavy hitting nightmare units with the Lord and everything, they're going hard. And we can just see, you can see this is not how you want to play her, because in terms of damage, she will have about 50% of the damage of the hardest hitters in the game. So she will be able to deal about 50% damage of these, of the likes of Alast, of the Kigiri at A0. So you don't really want to use her as a DPS. So you want to use her as an enabler, especially for all the magic damage dealers, right? You have so many good magic damage teams, and as you can already see from here, look at this right here, magic damage vulnerability 30%. Up again, it is 100% uptime on that magic damage vulnerability, and it is massive. So if we go and take a look here, if we put in an Ingrid, you can see the difference. If you put in a Hex, she enables that Hex, she enables that Ingrid. She can help Alistair deal more damage. She helps Praetus deal more damage. That vulnerability, as you will be able to see, is actually very strong. And you can really build a team around buffing your hardest hitting magic damage dealers. Like imagine, you know, just you could build now with her as well. You can really start building teams around buffing certain units, certain hard hitters like a Hex, or Ingrid, or any of these magic damage dealers. Just imagine this. We have 30% defense threat, we have 30% vulnerability and damage increase for our Ingrid. All steroids for our Ingrid. These are all steroids for our Ingrid. And that Ingrid will solo Apocalypse after that. Or Hex, for example. So let me showcase you how Ingrid does. So let's see how much damage. 84k, 96k, 96k, right? So 96k is her damage output. Now let's see what happens if you have her in there with a Selene. How is her damage gonna be then? We're gonna wait here for the Selene to get her ult up. And then there we go. Let's see. 125k, 125k, 100. But as you can see, we're able to see, now Selene died. But as you were able to see, it's a exact 30% damage increase for the likes of the Ingrid, right? So you should use her as a support for all of these units if you have the vulnerability. It is insanely. I will personally put her into my Guild Boss team. You can use her as a DPS, for example, and a support buffer, because while she does only 50% of the other hard hitters on a long fight, that's still like hundreds of million that you could use. or you can also use her as your tank with rage reaching gear, and just as a support that tanks and does the 30% vulnerability. So you don't have just a tank standing there in there doing nothing. You have a tank that actually provides a lot for your team. So there's that as well. And yeah, I think she's amazing. My final verdict, guys, you saw it here. She improves the damage of your team a lot if you have her bond skill. If you do not have her bond skill, I think the guild boss capabilities suffer a lot. But finally the Giselle, yeah, lost souls from Giselle, me included, got something to work with. It's not a Giselle buff that made Giselle viable, no, it's the Selene bond skill, quite ironic. But that is very strong for her, and for Arena, I think even without Giselle, she could be very solid as well for many of you guys, as you were able to see. I'm excited for Selene. I haven't been excited for a fusion like that since Alistair. I think Helga is great too. Yeah, Maw fusion I wasn't really excited, and the other ones I don't even remember. With that said, guys, I'm Ronaldo. I wish you a blessed day, and I'm out. Peace!